Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Darian Jones. I am the Digital and Development Specialist at Care Partners. We're here for another Hot Topic Live segment. We have a very special guest today. It's Kimberly Valdez. She is an LCSW, and she's going to be sharing with us all about family dynamics during the pandemic. So she is going to have a PowerPoint presentation for us, and she'll be able to answer all of your questions. So I'm really looking forward to this segment. It's gonna be a good one. Before we get started really quick, Care Partners is suspending all of our in-person programming through the end of the year, but we have many online resources. So we're updating our website every week. You can visit our website at www.carepartnerstexas.org. Or if you have any questions, you can give us a call at 713-682-5995. We would love to hear what you're looking for as far as these hot topic segments, just what you're doing, staying at home, keeping busy. And we just want you to check out all of these resources because we've been doing these hot topic videos since March. So there is 60 plus videos on our website with helpful topics, our blog section. And so we just want to make sure that you all are aware that we have a ton of online resources on our website. So we would love for you to go check that out. And as always, you can email us at info@carepartnerstexas.org to share your photos, your stories. Just stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started with our topic today. I'm going to introduce our speaker, Kimberly Valdez. Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to the segment today. Do you want to tell us just a little about yourself and what you're going to be talking about?
Yes, absolutely. So I am a therapist in private practice down in the Friendswood area. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been a practicing social worker for about the past 10 years. I've done a lot of different things in social work, from helping individuals and families work through the dynamics of financial issues. I've been a social worker in a hospice setting for several years. And most recently, before going into private practice, I worked as a behavioral health consultant in a family medicine clinic through a residency program, being able to meet with people at their doctor's appointments, from infants up to I'm trying to think. The oldest person I think I saw was probably 103. So I've gotten to see people through the lifespan. But one of my areas of deep care is in the aging population and making sure that both the person who's being cared for and the family system around them that is partaking in that caring is taken care of, that everyone is communicating and on the same page. And that's part of why I wanted to be able to talk about family dynamics, and especially during this pandemic where everything that was already difficult just got a whole lot harder. Well, has been a whole lot harder for the past 6 or 7 months. And so this can be a really helpful time to reevaluate how you're doing, how you are working together as a system, and be able to take care of your own needs as well as the needs of the other people around you. So is there anything else that you need from me with that, Darian?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a really great segment. So we're really excited for you to be here. And with that, I'll just let you take it away, and then we'll go over any questions at the end. So anyone who's watching, we'd love to hear any of your questions. So,
okay.
Awesome.
So I do have a PowerPoint today. I am old school, and PowerPoint is the way that I keep my brain focused. So I'm going to go ahead and share that on the screen here. You're going to be able to hear my voice talking through all of these slides, but primarily what you're going to see is the slides up on the screen. So let me go ahead and change that for you right now. Okay. That's the very last slide. You don't want to see that one right now. So family dynamics during the pandemic. So here we go. Some of what we're going to talk about today is being able to understand each family member, each person within that caregiving system, talking about respecting boundaries of each member of the system, over helping and under helping, and how how to communicate about that. And then our last thing that we're going to talk about is what to do about that. So how to have a productive family meeting. Okay. So looking at our caregiving system, we have, of course, the person in care. And then around that person, we have the primary caregiver, other family member, friends, other members of the community. And as you're making a plan for care, it's essential that all of these people are taken into account. One of the difficulties is when it just becomes the primary caregiver and the person in care, which is a dynamic that a lot of people are seeing during this pandemic, of feeling alone in that care of, we can't get out of the house, we can't even go grocery shopping. It's just the two of us in this house together all the time. And then groceries getting dropped off maybe by somebody else at the door, whether that be through an ordering service or a friend or family member that does help. Sometimes that shifts a little bit to where you have more people coming to help, sometimes over helping and not always respecting the boundaries of how you want to be able to be safe within your house. People went in to come over and visit, and you say, no, we don't want to have any exposure right now. Let's wave through the window. And sometimes that can create its own difficulties. So how do you help to increase the understanding of each of those people within the system? Here on the slide, you'll see a number of questions to be able to ask yourself about each of the members of your care system. So what other responsibilities do they have? How has their day-to-day life and or finances changed due to the pandemic? Did you have somebody who used to be able to help you buy groceries, and now they have lost their job and aren't able to do that anymore? Did you have somebody who used to have a more flexible job and could come and take you or you and the person in care to doctor's appointments, and now their schedule's more restrictive because they've had to find whatever kind of work that they can get? Or did one of those people get let go and now they're trying to be there all day, every day, and you want to try to shift that dynamic to get your own space again? Are they around other people? This can mean so many things. So for you as the caregiver and the person in care, what are your boundaries? What are your limits of safety and emotional health? So how do you want to be able to be around people? How comfortable do you feel being around people who are working, who are essential workers? What are different ways that you could see people who do not live within your house? If you're caregiving for somebody who lives within a nursing facility, then how do you get to see them right now? And what is your comfort level with that? What are their physical abilities? So what are maybe some of the restrictions that we need to be thinking about? How are they taking care of themselves emotionally and physically? If you're wanting help from somebody in your family, are they in the place where they can really offer it? If you're feeling like they're underhelping, like they used to be able to really be there and now they're not able to be there in the same way, why is that? What's going on with them? And how can we understand what's happening in the context of this pandemic, where they may just be feeling the heaviness of life and their other responsibilities and financial needs all at the same time? What is my relationship with them like? Do I want them around? Is it helpful to my mental and physical health to have them around? Are they somebody that I can be really open with boundaries with? Are they somebody that I have to be more careful with? And that really helps determine how you talk with them. And then last but not least, can I trust them more with task support or emotional support? And so this piece, I'm going to move on to a different slide because I think this can be a really helpful way of breaking down how you communicate with people in your care system about what you need. And so the first piece is being able to identify, is this person somebody who would be great at helping with task support? So maybe you are a spouse caregiving for your husband or wife, and you have a child who's really busy, but they are doing really great with picking up groceries. There's somebody who can offer some more task support to you. They may not be able to come by for visits, may not have as much time for phone calls as they used to have, but whenever they're at the grocery store, they can pick up some extra for you. And that's one way that you can get help from them and that you can maintain your relationship with them by asking them for help. So task support can include things like mowing the lawn, picking up groceries, picking up around the house, driving to doctor's appointments, respite care, cooking meals, making necessary phone calls about the internet or subscription services. And then the other side is emotional support. Now, this piece takes your relationship with that person into account. Are they a safe person for you? Is this someone you feel really comfortable with decision making with talking through things? And this kind of support would be things like listening, giving you a hug if they're a person you feel safe being that close to. During this pandemic, doing drive-by visits, is it somebody you just want to get to see their face in person sometimes, and how can you navigate that? FaceTiming or phone calls, talking through an important issue, or helping with decision making. And so it is absolutely okay if you identify somebody in your life is more task support than emotional support, or really they can't give you a lot of task support, but they can be there for emotional support. And how can you talk with them about that role? Okay, so one of the pieces of this system is also having boundaries. So that piece of going back to knowing who you can ask for task support and who you can ask for emotional support. Within that, you are also valuing yourself and your time. So whether you are a caregiver or somebody else on the support team, is this something that if a caregiver is asking for task support, is that physically and emotionally something that you can agree to? If it's not something that you can agree to because, frankly, you don't have any mental space left to be able to do that, then giving yourself permission to do what's best for you, to practice saying no, and to be clear about your own needs and communicating with them. So no matter where you are on that caregiving team, being able to communicate about what's best for you, say no when you need to say no, and making a list of coping strategies that sometimes can include people and sometimes is just about how do you care for yourself? When do you step back, take a breath for yourself, go outside, take a 5-minute break outside in the bathroom in a different room to be able to regroup and be present with your loved one. So I feel like I'm flying through this a little bit. I want to go back and really look at, okay, we're looking at our whole support system, the person in care and the care team around them. We're looking at understanding each of those roles within the system. You as the person in care or as the caregiver, knowing who to ask for what. So who's good for task support, who's good for emotional support, who might be good for both, and knowing that for yourself. And then any person on that team being able to maintain boundaries about what you can do and how to take care of yourself whenever you are feeling really emotionally and physically stretched. So I want to dive a little bit more into that support person role. So not just the caregiver, but if you are somebody who's within that system, if you are supporting your mom taking care of your dad, if you're supporting your brother taking care of his wife, if you are supporting your parent taking care of another one of your adult siblings, these are some do's and don'ts of a support person. So ask, how do you need me to support you right now? If you do anything else, this is one of the absolute most important pieces of being a helpful support person, is checking in with the person who needs something about what they want. So not assuming what they want, not doing what you would want, but asking what do they need for you to support them right now. Next is treating the primary caregiver and the person in care with respect. Sorry for the typo there. So being able to know, are they capable of decision making? Well, that means that I don't make their decisions for them. Do they want to go to the grocery store? Can they safely drive? Can they safely get out? Are they cognizant enough to be able to make those decisions? Well, then, and they want to be able to do that, then that's part of your job to allow them that respect in that space to be able to make their own decisions. Another do is understanding that we all get a say in how we want to live our lives. So when you are a support person on a caregiving team, it can feel really frustrating to see your loved one making a decision about care or how they're taking care of themselves that is different from how you would do it. And you want to be able to help so much, and you feel like they're not letting you. And so being able to be understanding of, well, that's the boundary that they're setting. And it's part of our jobs as a loved one to understand that they get to have that say. They get to have that dignity and respect to be able to live their lives in the way that they want to. And then the final do is being able to be open to the boundaries and dynamics changing. So we've all gotten to see that through this pandemic of, what used to work, the setup for your care team that used to work doesn't work anymore because they can't go to in-person program. They don't have the respite they used to be able to have. The support person may be needing to do more than they used to do, or the caregiver doesn't want them anywhere around because they're really afraid of getting their loved one sick. And so you're having to take a step back. And so being open and respectful about those changing boundaries. Don't try to take over decision making. Don't assume that they have it just because everything looks okay on the surface. This can be a tricky one because, like I just said, you want to respect their boundaries. And so this is where we go back to that first question of, how do you need me to support you right now? You can be able to say, I know you say you have it. I'm really worried. I want to be able to do more. Is there anything more that I can do right now? These are some options. And you can go through that task support list, through that emotional support list to be able to communicate some of those options that you want to be able to offer. Don't step over their boundaries. And of course, don't forget to take care of yourself and communicate your needs. So how do we communicate those needs? Part of how we communicate those needs is with I statements. So if you've never heard of an I statement before, it's being able to take ownership of how a situation is impacting you and asking for what you need. I statements help to reduce blame, help to reduce discord, help to reduce starting an argument. I'm not saying it won't start an argument. Sometimes it certainly does, but it's being able to be really honest about what you're feeling and where you are. So the structure of an I statement is, I feel blank because blank when this or that happens, and what I need is blank. So an example of this would be, I feel overwhelmed because I can't have anyone coming into the house helping right now when we're in the middle of a pandemic. And what I need is for you to reduce the amount of times that you're out around other people so that I can have a couple hours of respite. So this is if you take nothing else away from our live here today, screenshot this, take this with you, go back to this slide. Being able to practice these I statements and communicating with your loved ones and managing those family dynamics during COVID-19 is essential. And then our very last slide, keys to a successful family meeting. So you may or may not have experienced a family meeting before. You may have had really informal family meetings. And so what I'm talking about here is being able to have a structured family meeting that is about figuring out where you are right now and what needs to change to improve how things are going. So the first piece is to give everyone invited time to prepare. So instead of saying, hey, I'm calling you on Zoom right now, we're all having a family meeting, that can really set everyone up for not knowing what to say, not knowing what they can offer, and potentially getting really defensive about what they have been offering up until this point. So setting up a day or a time that works for everyone or most people that are involved, and then sending out a list of what will be discussed ahead of time. So for instance, we're going to meet on Thursday at 6 o'clock on Zoom. We're going to talk about increasing respite for mom, who can help with grocery delivery, and calling to check in more. And so having that simple list ahead of time so everyone knows what's going on and what will be discussed. Know, of course, that not everyone may participate in this meeting. Everyone could jump on that Zoom call. Somebody could have something else going on, or we all have family members that really struggle with being involved for one reason or another. And so being able to know, okay, well, we have who we have here. We can do what we can with the people in this meeting right now. Know that this meeting is a time to identify or redefine family roles. So again, who is doing what, who is helping with task support or emotional support, who's doing that hands-on caregiving, who's doing more supportive caregiving. Set up a distance meeting in person or Zoom based on your family's needs. Bring help if needed. So this could be, don't be afraid to bring if you're the one setting up the family meeting, don't be afraid to bring a friend along with you, a spiritual support person, or if you have a case manager or a social worker, allowing them to come to the meeting with you to make sure that your needs are heard and that you're able to communicate everything you want. Making sure to allow everyone time to talk in the meeting. At the end, recapping whatever decisions you made based on that agenda that you set up ahead of time. Knowing that you're not going to be able to resolve everything in one meeting, and then scheduling a follow-up. So if y'all have a 30-minute meeting at 6 o'clock on Thursday, you're able to get a few things figured out, being able to say, okay, let's check back in with each other in 2 weeks and see how this is working. That sounds so much like how you would manage a business meeting or a business call, but caregiving takes so much coordination that whenever we are trying to really work together as a family, it can be helpful to set it up in a similar way to what you would do in a business meeting of, okay, we need to be able to have follow-up. Let's be specific about when we're going to get that. And then we can know how we were or weren't successful in making these really necessary changes and improving our relationship with each other and improving the caregiving of this person we all really love and care for. So that is a very fast and furious information on how to manage some of the family dynamics during a pandemic. Darian, let me know what questions you have or what questions other people might have had as I was going through that.
Yeah, thank you so much. You covered so many great things. I love the I statements, and that's really the important thing to remember, as you said, and just a bunch of the different things you covered. Do you have any tips for addressing conflict? Say you're a caregiver and you're trying to ask for more help and you're getting some resistance, or let's say you're a helper and the primary caregiver is giving some resistance in delegating or letting. Do you have any tips for addressing conflict?
So if you are the person who wants to be able to bring it up with I'm going to just give an example. So if you are a caregiver wanting to ask for more help and you're getting some resistance to that, being able to take some time to yourself, write down what you need, write down how you're feeling right now. And if you're talking to a specific person, let's say you're a wife taking care of your husband and your daughter isn't able to help out in the way that you want her to. So being able to write down, Kimberly, this is what I would love for you to be able to do. This is how I feel whenever you're not able to do that. And these are some ideas I have for that to change. Being able to write all of that down so that you have a plan whenever you're going in to communicate with this person, either verbally or on email or on text. I do highly suggest you try and do verbally or really Zoom if you possibly can, to be able to reduce miscommunication through text. So having that preparation and then being able to go in and use those I statements of, when this happens, this is how I feel and this is what I need from you. The next step of that is really essential, of listening to what the other person has to say. So if your daughter comes back in and says, well, Mom, I would really love to be able to do all of that, but I just have absolutely no time right now. One, I would love for that daughter to be able to say, is there a different way I can support you? We can't guarantee her saying that, right? And so the mom who's trying to communicate this, to be able to say, I know you have all of this going on. Can you please brainstorm with me some other options, because I feel so overwhelmed right now. I can't think of what other options might be available.
That's some really great advice. What about if, when it comes to sorry, I'm trying to think how to word it. So it's really all about communication, I think, and how to open up the communication and just be better at communicating. Do you recommend bringing in some professional help, let's say like a social worker?
Absolutely. Whenever I worked as a hospice social worker, that is something that I frequently did and tended to be really helpful whenever there's a family that it just felt like they could not agree on anything around care. A lot of high emotions and anger and frustration just running rampant. Being able to have an objective third party there, like your social worker from the home health agency, a social worker from a hospice company, or a case manager who might be working with you in a different realm, to be able to be the advocate for the person in care, but also to be able to look at, okay, these are the resources that are available to you. These are the resources the caregiver actually physically and mentally has to give. Now let's figure out what to do with the rest of this. It helps take some of that pressure off of the caregiver to manage that family meeting by themselves. It adds in another voice for them to be able to feel like it's not them against the rest of their family. And it's an objective person to be able to come in and say, this is what needs to be done. Let's figure out how to tackle it, versus it coming across as attacking, or you're not doing enough and that makes you a bad family member. It really recenters it around appropriate care for the person who needs it.
That's great. And then we'll probably wrap it up real soon. Do you have any last minute tips or advice for caregivers, or pretty much just caregivers during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the main things is being able to have anything outside of caregiving that you do on a daily basis, to be able to shift your focus from the daily ins and outs. So I say that, and some of you might be laughing of, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm here in this house all day. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything else. What am I supposed to do? And so being able to look at, is can you go and step on your patio for 10 minutes and take some time to be able to notice what you see? Can you, is there, even if you have to read the same book 10 times over because your brain can't focus on something new, is there a book that you can read? Is there an old hobby that you could pick up? Can you write letters to people? Can you journal about your experiences? Can you just play solitaire on your phone for 10 minutes in the other room to be able to give yourself a break? And so being able to allow yourself even just 10 minutes of time where you're doing something that is outside of caregiving is really essential for survival right now. And so if you can do nothing else, being able to take that 10 minutes to an hour or more to yourself to be able to invest back into you.
And I think that's very important. One of the main things at Care Partners is we really want the caregiver to not only care for their loved one, but take care of themselves, because it's really so important.
Yeah.
And here is Kimberly's contact information. You can visit her website or give her a call. I'm sure that she'd love to connect with you. Thank you again so much for being here and sharing. And everyone at home, thank you all for tuning in. And we hope you learned something today. Be sure, again, to just visit our website for more resources and updates. And have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much. Bye.